So, Sammy, I'm sitting there. I wake up this morning. I get right. I'm on the West Coast. Give me a break. And so you wake up to the news. Khalil Mack is going to end up going back to the Los Angeles Chargers. And it's a little bit of a disappointment. I think we were all making sure our Khalil Mack jerseys were still in immaculate shape and everything. However, he signs for what was it, 18 mil? And to me, when I look at that deal and I look at Khalil Mack getting 18 million, I'm like, first of all, happy for him, stoked for him. The Chargers, apparently need that money. Like they need it. They let Bosa go. So they need Khalil Mack to return. They're going to pay a lot more than the Chicago Bears are going to do because the Bears had something else cooking, which as an alternative, I think it was much better. I'll get to that in a moment. But truly, when that happened, I was like, oh God, is this the way the day is going to go? Like, is this going to be it for us? Are we just going to go out there and be like, oh, bunch of just missed things? I mean, honestly, looking at what we did with the two guards and a couple of the other little moves that we did, you're like, all right, like if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. Instead, what we got was a lot of the best case scenario that I could even imagine for the Chicago Bears. What they have done today and over the last couple of days and what we've seen go down in the NFL makes so much sense for the Chicago Bears. And it's going to be great. And I know that we're three-peating as the offseason champs and all that stuff, and let Aaron Nagler come in here and make his jokes and do all that stuff. And that's fine. And I understand it. And it's something that goes back to something that Kyle Long was talking about is like, don't tell me, show me. And so far with what we can see, the Bears are showing us that the offensive line was a priority coming into this offseason, and they've taken care of it. And you know what? We got so much to get into. So, Sammy, let's go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Ray.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a free agency Monday. Sammy, I don't see what to retweet. You usually you'd be hitting me up right now telling me to retweet this thing. But thanks to everybody here who is dropping in an impromptu thing. I had sat there and I said, I texted the boys and I said, listen, let me just do a Twitter wasn't working, but it's fixed now. Okay. Oh, great day. Good job, guys, for Twitter to be down. Way to go. Was Doge getting its hooks into Twitter? I was like, hey, let me film a 10-minute thing and I'll send it to you. But we thought it would be great to go live and to talk about this stuff because there'll probably be breaking news as this happens. As a matter of fact, I was on the NFL Network last night. I had done a segment where we were doing potential landing spots for DK Metcalf. And it's 4:00 Pacific, so it's that hour. And I do my hit, and I'm like, hey, he should go to the Steelers. No, I'm just kidding. I said the Packers just because I wanted to be magnanimous and look like I wasn't as biased as I am. In any event, I get downstairs, and then DK is traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is great. And you're like, ooh, I wonder if that's going to be great for Justin Fields. And then Justin Fields is now signed with the New York Jets, and I'm super happy for Justin Fields and going out there and being paired with Garrett Wilson. Hopefully he can find the success that we've all wanted for him since he was a first-round draft pick of the Bears a number of years, was it 2020, when he was drafted in the first round by the Chicago Bears. And honestly, like I still root for Justin Fields. My kids have Justin Field jerseys. As a matter of fact, when my daughter was going to bed the other night, I'm looking at the pillows that she has in her bed, and it's a Shohei Ohtani pillow and a Justin Fields pillow. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't have the heart to change it. I really don't. So I'm happy for Justin Fields, but let's take a moment and now let's really dive into what's going on with the Chicago Bears. Now, obviously, last week we talked about the huge news of getting Joe Thuney, of getting Jonas Jackson as the guards. I honestly, at the time, and I know that it's a lot of money, but when Jonas Jackson was signed, I'm like, is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a swing guy? Is he somebody that we're going to probably just put out there anywhere? But, let's just assume he is going to be fine and he's going to play right guard. That's great. You're like, okay, two studs right there in the middle. It's similar to what happened with the Carolina Panthers last season. And I love this. You can go back and document this, what I wrote. And I think if you go back to my mock draft with a twist, I had mentioned this about the Carolina Panthers. Loved what the Panthers did last year. Like, I was on board with that 100%. And it paid off because both their quarterbacks, Andy Dalton and Bryce Young, ended up playing really well for them down the stretch. Now, it might not be immediate for the Bears, and it's going to take some time to get going. But you know what? That's a great start to free agency. Great. God, the news is just keeping, we're going to have so much going on, probably going on during the show. I know who he is, damn it. I know who Grady Jarrett is. You don't have to tell me. I know I'm a fantasy football noob, but I do know some of the biggest names. I want to get into this. I do want to talk about this because on Sunday night, when the Falcons re-signed Matthews, I literally thought it was Drew Dalman. I know a couple of people are like, do you think that this was Drew Dalman? I did. I wasn't paying close enough attention. I'm like, oh, that sucks. But it was like that scene in Friends where Phoebe fakes out Rachel by telling her she's not pregnant and then be like, no, she's pregnant. When I thought that Drew Dalman had been signed by the Falcons, I was a little worried. I was like, oh, God, that sucks because that would have been a great signing. And turns out that he wasn't, and the Bears got him. And you look at the interior of the offensive line, already studs. And the funniest part of this is there was some twerp from somewhere. Who knows? Maybe it was a bot who was like, the Bears don't have coaching, and these guys are going to be terrible. And I'm like, does this guy know? He knows that Ben Johnson's the head coach now, right? He knows that we rebuilt this staff, right? I don't know. Never take things for granted with the with fans around the world. I was, as a matter of fact, one of my friends who I saw drop off this morning, and I'm like, hey, you guys got DK Mac? I was telling a story I just told you. And he's like, he's a Steelers fan. He's like, is DK good? And I'm like, yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good at football. Like, you'll like him. So you never know with fans. So then you go out there and you get the offensive line situated. To me, this lends itself to the bigger point that I want to make moving forward, because obviously we did also sign Dayo Odeyingbo. So Odeyingbo comes in from Indianapolis. And this is significant because as much as we did not like losing out on Khalil Mack, but for 18 mil, that's a lot of money. Dayo Odeyingbo comes in 3 years, 48 million, which, if I'm doing my math correctly, and I would like to think that I am, is less than 18 million a year. I don't know how it breaks out yearly. So I don't know that. Listen, I'm not a cap guy. But still, you get 3 years of Dayo Odeyingbo as opposed to 1 year of 18 million for Khalil Mack, 34 years old. Odeyingbo is a younger player. He's big. Like, he's a big dude. Like, he's a monster. This is the kind of player that I truly believe that Dennis Allen is looking for. I know a lot of people talked about Chase Young and players like that, but Odeyingbo actually was a low-key, like, perfect, fits the system kind of guy. Really like him coming in from the Indianapolis. I know it's always wearisome. You're like, nah, whenever I see the Colts, you're like, oh, you think of Eberflus and him coaching the Colts and all that stuff. But Odeyingbo's a pretty good spot. And then we get Grady Jarrett to come in, and we got him 3 years, 43.5 mil, which would be what, less than 15 million. Again, these deals, I believe, are more prudent than throwing out a 1 year deal for Khalil Mack. As much fun as that would have been. And we understand that Khalil Mack is a great player, and he was great for the Chicago Bears. These moves, to me, are much, much better. I think it's prudent for our long-term health. And again, if we know, and let me tweet this out too. Yeah, we're not getting the video. That sucks. Way to go, Twitter. But we rebuilt the defensive line and the offensive line. And again, whenever we were talking about hiring Ben Johnson back in the day, and Ben Johnson was thought to be coming to the Bears, it was like, well, he's not going to have the offensive and defensive line that they've had in Detroit. And at the same time, I think that Detroit's offensive line is fantastic. And I'm not saying that we've matched them in one offseason, but we've taken a pretty good step. The most interesting thing now is that, and I know a lot of people are like, assuming the Bears are going to go for Ashton Jeanty right off the back. I'm not ruling it out, but I think what this does and what the Bears have done by making all these moves, which are significant, by going out there and making all these moves, they've now opened up the draft board. There's plenty of different ways they can go in the draft here. Like now it's just like, we don't necessarily need to take Will Campbell. We don't need to take the best offensive line. We need to take an edge, because a lot of times, and you hear all the draft guys talking about this, the troubles that you get into in the NFL draft is that you say, we have this need, we need to take this player. And so you go out and you sometimes ignore some of the best players. And honestly, it is something that the LA Rams did a really nice job of years ago. And I remember, because this impacts the Bears, number of years ago, it was the draft. The draft was in Chicago, and the Bears had, the Rams had the number 10 pick. And even though they had it wasn't truncated. I forget who the running backs were for the Rams at the point. Like, it wasn't like the Rams needed a running back. It wasn't like whenever you looked at the Rams draft board, it never said like, hey, Rams need a running back. But they went out there and they drafted Todd Gurley. And you're like, oh, that's a pretty nice pick. And then the year before, the Aaron Donald thing. Like, the Rams didn't need Aaron Donald when they drafted him. They had Chris Long there. They had another stud, the guy who played with us, Robert Quinn. They had great players on the defensive line. They didn't need to draft a guy, but Aaron Donald was there. And I remember, because Aaron Donald, I'm sure I'm talking to Bears fans, so we remember this. Aaron Donald was mocked to us at number 14. Like, everything was him going to the Bears at 14, which is why it was so shocking when he went 13 to the Rams, a team that didn't need it. That's the beauty of the Bears right now, because not only does it open up the entirety of the draft board, like we can go any direction. If there's any player that falls, if Travis Hunter falls, he's not going to. But if Abdul Carter or anybody, there's not a guy that you look at and you're like, well, we just signed this player in free agent. No. If we had to start the season right now with the guys that we had, like, okay, that would be good. Like, we'd be okay. We would be fine. But now this is really fun, because it does make players like Ashton Jeanty available to us. And now you're like, oh, we could go this way. This is something that we could do. And it really opens it up. It's a world of possibilities. And, now, we've been sitting here for the last couple of weeks, or at least I have, talking about Jeanty going possibly to the Raiders. And I think once the Raiders made the move for Geno Smith, you're like, oh, you got Geno, you got Brock Bowers, you got Jacoby Myers. Ashton Jeanty makes a lot of sense right there at number 6. It doesn't anymore, Raiders. Raiders, go draft a lineman. You need other positions. You don't need Ashton. But it does open us up. And I don't know if we're going to get into the same situation we had with Rome Odunze, where we feel like we have to trade up. Like, is somebody going to steal him? Is somebody going to pick a running back at number 6, at number 7? Are we going to have to move up? Are we going to end up moving one of our? But again, we have the depth now to be able to do that. Personally, oh my gosh, Joseph, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Odeyingbo is an ascending player as well. Sneaky move. Still allows us to take pass rushers. First of all, Joseph, thank you so much for the super chat right there. We really do appreciate it. But that's exactly the point. Like, we don't need to ignore anybody who's available to us, anybody who falls to us at number. I know Abdul Carter is the worst possible example of this. However, Joseph, to your point, we can still draft it. Like, we can still draft the position. Like, honestly, like, if we have a high grade on Will Campbell and we think that Will Campbell is a superstar, like, draft him. Greg Braggs tweeted this out earlier this morning, is that he said, look, I'm still good with drafting Will Campbell at number 10 if that's exactly what we need. And again, we might end up being in that spot. Genty could be drafted early, but you know what? And we've been joking about this, and I've been joking about this in all the shows that I go on here on the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank, or perhaps if you heard me on CHGO, is like I always joke like, hey, we're going to take Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan, who's fantastic, by the way. Tyler Warren, the tight end, you know, like we're now in play for those guys. And now if we make those moves, it's not a total detriment, because it's like, well, we've got 3 new starters on the offensive line. We've got 2 new starters on the defensive line. Odeyingbo, again, like I agree with Joseph, ascending player. That's a great way to put that. An ascending player who's now going to be able to come here and contribute for a number of years. And it also helps out Montez Sweat. It makes Montez Sweat better. And we saw last season, you know, when we made a late move with Seattle to bring in some help on the defensive line, that helped out too. Injuries eventually got us, and we started, you know, having some guys miss some games or everything. But now we're starting to build the depth, which is exactly what we want. I mean, it's what made Detroit so great last year. If you think about Detroit running all the way to the number 1 seed, Detroit had 21 detrimental injuries, including an injury to Aiden Hutchinson. And I think that's where the Bears want to get to, is a point where if we did lose somebody for a significant, I mean, we lost Andrew Billings and we never really recovered from that. But now we're starting to add some pieces to it to where injuries are inevitable. Are we able to overcome them, much like Detroit did this season? So I really love what we were able to do. Love all these signings. Feel like that is good. I'll get to some of the questions, some more questions too. I just want to look through. I just want to talk real quick about some of the other things that had happened in the NFL so far. Geno Smith goes to the Raiders. Again, I said this Friday night on the NFL Network, is I thought that actually opens it up. That really is the Raiders are now seriously in play for Ashton Genty. I still think the Raiders are more significant pieces away. They got Zamir White. Why do you need this running back? But I think the Raiders at 6 for Genty. We might need to trade if we're going to get him. Or we might do the Roma Dunze thing and just pray that he falls. I will tell you this, for anybody who's going to ask, Sammy, is there somebody asking about if we should trade up to get Ashton Genty? If you see a question like that, throw it up there so I can give that person some love. Because I do appreciate everybody who's coming in here at the last second. Unannounced podcast and all that stuff. Gosh, I am so stoked on what we're doing. And again, off-season champs, I get all that stuff. But I think of the Raiders doing that. Sam Darnold just signs for $100 million for the Seattle Seahawks, which is like Seattle got rid of DK Metcalf. They made all these moves. Would you have been better off with Sam Darnold or Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, and make another run at it? I'm really curious what Seattle's philosophy is moving forward. What about Aaron Rodgers? Where does Aaron Rodgers go in this one? I think Pittsburgh could end up being an opportunity for him. I could see Russell Wilson going to Tennessee if the Steelers have decided they're moving on from Russell Wilson, which to me they probably have, because they were probably better off. They were probably better off going with Justin Fields over the season anyways. Like I always thought that was a bad move for them. And so I'm still checking news. People are texting me, so I hope that when they text me, it better be something Bears related. I don't want to see any more of this. Bears are not messing. Okay, yeah, thank you. Somebody was sending me something. Yeah, we're saying all these same things. Okay, somebody's a little bit behind their time. But the Bears already out the gates. How about, Sammy, do we have any questions from the audience here? Want to make sure we're not missing anybody. Stephen Hoffman, now do we keep building trenches in the draft for depth, or do we target the best man available? Yes, Stephen, good question. It honestly is a now we get to take the best NFL player available to us, and we don't have to worry about, do we really need this? Like, again, whenever you draft for need, it really sets you back, and you end up making decisions that you're probably not going to be happy with down the line. Like, you should go for the best possible player. And I think that's what the Bears have done now. by getting, again, if the season started today, and to my knowledge, it does not, but if it started today, we could make do with the players that we have. Now, Abdul Carter, probably not falling to us at 10. Travis Hunter, I would be shocked. Ashton Genty, a huge possibility, because even though Saquon Barkley was great this year, this still might be seen as a luxury pick. And this is a great draft for depth at the running back position. I'm not ruling out Ashton Genty. If he falls to 10 and we take him, I'm good with it. I will be fine with. I'm not going to say fine. I'll be good with it. I think it's a great pick if he falls to us and he's there. But at the same time, moving up for him seems to be where that's the problem I would have. I wouldn't want to move up for Ashton Genty. I love him. He's going to be a great player. I'm not moving up for him because, like you said, Joseph, we still need to build depth. Like, it's great. Like, we did a great job with depth, but that's not going to be just where we end. Mason Graham, probably not going to fall to us, but Mason Graham, great player. If he somehow falls to us at number 10, we're racing. We're racing up to the podium. Tyler Warren. Hey, I've been saying this as a joke with Tyler Warren. And you know what? If Tyler Warren is there and we've done everything that we've needed to do, is he the next Brock Bowers? Is he that kind of guy? Maybe. I don't hate it. And I think even with Cole Kmet signed long-term, I think having 2 tight ends in a Ben Johnson offense would be good. Colston Loveland, I'm not as sold on, so I wouldn't go there. Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker is a huge possibility at number 10. Yeah, we're drafting him if he's available. Jadea Brown, cornerback out of Texas. Yeah, why not? Why not? Will Campbell, absolutely. Like, starting to look through this list. We don't need those. Armando Membo, maybe. I think the linebacker out of Alabama, we're probably not. Campbell, we're probably not going to go with. Will Johnson, again, that seems like a very Ryan Polsey pick. Omar Hampton out of North Carolina, probably not. But again, like, it does open up so many possibilities. It is like, you know what? It's a buffet right now. We have a wide variety of things we can do. We're not hemmed in. And you know what? We could also trade down if we wanted. Like, if we had our heart set on, I think the guys, for me, and again, like, I'm not going to put myself in the position of Ryan Poles or anything like that. Mason Graham is a guy that I really love. Abdul Carter, not with him, but Genty, Mason Graham, and let's go Will Campbell. If any of those guys get picked before we select, I would be comfortable moving down. And again, just getting ball players. You know, the Lions, again, the Lions did this a couple of years ago with Jahmyr Gibbs and the linebacker that they ended up with. Like, they traded down. They were in the top 10. You know, the Lions, for all the things, like, I know that we get a lot of grief for passing on him. The Lions, more than anybody, should be the team that you look at and you're like, why did the Lions pass on Jalen Carter? I would love to know why they passed on Jalen Carter and why everybody looks at us as the idiots who passed on Jalen Carter. The Lions did. Seattle did. A couple of teams. We can go back through that draft. I know and that was my point going into that draft, was like, hey, Pete Carroll, Dan Campbell, 2 organizations that, if you could imagine, would be able to deal with the questions that would arrive with drafting Jalen Carter. Those would be 2 guys I think could handle it. And Jalen Carter on the Lions would be an absolute nightmare. So I appreciate them letting him go. But again, they moved down the board. They did get Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's not like, I understand that part of it. Like, yeah, we did end up with Jahmyr Gibbs, and they did. And the linebacker's good too. So it's not like they didn't complete it. And it's same for us. Like, Darnell Wright is a good player. So it's not like we just drafted some hobo. No, we got a good player too. But now's a chance to rectify that. Sammy, what do we got? 2 more questions? 2 questions? Grady Jarrett, any good? Jake, Jake, what's going on? Thanks for dropping on. Yeah, Grady Jarrett's a great player. It's tough to say when he's a Pro Bowl player because like everybody seems to make the Pro Bowl, but the guys who play in the Pro Bowl are usually the linemen. They don't pass out on the bonuses. Grady Jarrett, is he going to be a superstar for us, an all-pro? I would say probably not. But as a veteran player, and again, veteran depth piece, making less than $15 million a year. He is a two-time Pro Bowler, but he's not. He's never been an All-Pro or anything like that. He's a solid player, and I'm okay with making solid moves and getting in solid players. And as a rotational player, we're gonna like him. He's a good player. He's gonna be fine for us. Fine. No, he's gonna be good for us. I'm not gonna. It's a good fit. Dennis Allen obviously has a lot of familiarity with him playing in the NFC South. Dennis Allen has been scouting him for years. Dennis Allen obviously has an input on what we're doing on the defensive line. He's signing off on him. He's 31. I don't know if this is his age 31 season. If he's already turned 31, he might be a bit older. Nope, yeah, he's going to turn 32 here. So a little bit of an older player, but I do feel like he fits a need. He comes in a little bit of a more reasonable price. Well, it's a different player. Like it's a different player than Khalil Mack, but Khalil Mack wanted to go out there and get that 18 mil guaranteed because we don't know what the guarantees are. So we'll see. Again, I don't have all the complete numbers here with Grady Jarrett, but I do like the move. I do like it. And if Dennis Allen's cool with it, I have no reason to argue with him. He's been coaching in the NFC South for quite some time now. He's well aware of what Grady Jarrett is going to be able to bring to the Chicago Bears. So I'm good. If Dennis Allen is good, I'm good. All right, Sammy, we have more questions. Odeyingbo to me looks like an edge. I'm pretty sure he's going to come in, and again, this will be Dennis Allen's system. He's going to come in and play edge. Again, I would like to get this straight from Dennis Allen's mouth. But for my money, he's going to be an edge player, and he's going to come in there and provide some of the pass rush and everything like that. He's one of the chatters mentioned here, ascending player, somebody who's continuing to get better each and every year. And so I really love this dude. Low key, like smart move, younger player. And again, they've kind of mixed it up a little bit. They've kind of stretched it out. I know that Ryan Poles is looking for younger players, somebody who's going to be here for a while, which is like, listen, I know that Grady Jarrett is, he's going to be 32 this year, but sometimes you need that veteran mix to go with some of the younger players. And again, we're going to be drafting. We've got 3 picks in the top 50. So we're at least, unless we move up, don't move up. This is why I don't want to move up. This is why I want to be able to use those picks on some quality depth pieces and everything like that. Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to mention Windy City Sports Cards. Want to thank everybody, our friend Mike at Windy City Sports Cards. Windy City Sports Cards is the place to get all of your cards, much like the Bears are shopping in free agency. If you are looking to pick up some sports cards, at Windy City Sports Cards, we specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you're a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, or Fire, we have got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. And if you want a Dayo Odeyingbo card, you can go out there and reach out to our friend Mike at Windy City Sports Cards. By the way, I don't have the cards, but Mike did send me this. I got to show this off. Dude, this is what Mike sent me the other day. How dope is this? By the way, now you can see my backyard. That's what my backyard looks like, everybody. If you can see the reflection in here. That's my backyard. It's tore up because I let kids play some soccer out there. Geez, that was loud. I'm okay. Thanks to Windy City Sports Cards. Really appreciate them. But yeah, I would expect Odeyingbo to be one of our edge rushers. But again, I'm going to let Dennis Allen talk to that. But my conjecture is, and by the way, our friends at the Tape Never Lies Network, they're going to be digging in on the Odeyingbo tape here shortly. I'm not a tape guy. Phil is Draft Dr. Phil. So keep a lookout for that. If we can get him on later this week too, that would be great. I know we want to get Chad Ryder on at some point. I know this is the thing too, is I don't like, so these You know, when you get like the spam of like the people who are like, hey, haven't seen you for a while. What are you doing? There's some moments where it just, I'm not here for it. You know, like free agency, it's the middle of free agency, spam bot trying to steal my information. I don't need it. Because what happens is they send that text and like, oh my God, I haven't seen you since that night we did ecstasy at the Chili's, right? And you remembered you were walking around telling everybody that you were God, that you were Thor, and then all of a sudden you went to the bathroom with the bartender. Then the people stopped texting. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. But there's one more question. I'm sorry, Sammy. I'm on a rant. I don't want the spam text while I'm sitting here trying it. Sorry. Verizon, I will trade in my phone. Stop asking me. My camera became unplugged. How did my camera get unplugged? Oh, I banged the desk. This is the kind of equipment we're working with. Sorry, everybody. I'm still here. I know you guys can still hear me. You just can't. I wish this would show my face. Like, can we get a stock photo of me? Me coming up and doing, it's the FaceTime camera too. Okay, I got to go to the FaceTime camera. Sorry. Oh, the FaceTime camera makes me look red. Like the FaceTime camera really accentuates the sunburn I got over the weekend. I need the logic of bro. Can we still keep Keenan Allen? I'm hopeful. I would like Keenan Allen to come back. I said on the NFL Network yesterday because they trade. I know, like now the whole thing's like thrown off. I said on the NFL Network yesterday that Cooper Kupp might be somebody to keep an eye on if the Rams ultimately just have to release him, or if we want to trade one of our 6th round picks, 7th round pick, or whatever it is for Cooper Kupp. Might be a landing spot for him. I could see him also going to some place like the Jets. Now, if the Jets wanted to go out there and mix it up, maybe Pittsburgh. Throw them at, like, if Pittsburgh's going to start throwing everything at the wall to try to be a little bit more successful here, I'll get this fixed up just a little bit. Sorry about that. FaceTime. What are we doing? What are we doing with this? What's going on? I throw a book on the ground and it throws everything off. I hope we keep Keenan Allen. I hope there's a way that we can find to bring him back. I'm not giving up on Keenan Allen. I think there's a possibility he does return to this team. However, if he doesn't, I'm still hopeful Tyler Scott's going to have a bigger role on this team. I hope that Ben Johnson, that's one of the things that we haven't, really heard from because, the coaching staff is new and everything like that. But after the draft, I hope that we start getting into some of these offseason workouts. We see if they have a design for Tyler Scott, because I still think there's a lot of ability there and a lot of opportunity for him to go out there and kind of show what he can do on the NFL level. And, he didn't really get a chance last year, which is unfortunate. And I thought that perhaps they could have given him a shot. But you know what? He was dressing for all the games and all that stuff. So who knows? Let's see if that's that. So, Sammy, I don't know if we have any other questions. And again, I'm getting let me see. Okay. Nothing major has happened. Okay. I think we're all good. Listen to me. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here this evening. And of course, thank you to Sammy and Anello for breaking in a moment, quickly, acting quick, because so many things are happening. I know by the time that we put this out there, there's going to be some other news. But I think, again, the Bears, it looks like, it's far from over. But what we've seen so far, 3 new offensive linemen, 2 pieces on the defensive line. The Bears are committed to building the trenches, which is exactly what they wanted. And again, if you want to sit here and dismiss, listen, it doesn't matter. It is not equated to a win yet. And I understand that. It's very easy for the Bears to win the offseason. We've won the offseason time and time again. I understand all of that. However, I truly believe that the Bears have really set themselves up. The draft season is going to be incredible. We've given ourselves tons of opportunity to do a lot of different things and go a lot of different ways. So many possibilities. Can't wait to talk about it later. We will return Wednesday night for Take It to the Rank. So until that's time, for Sammy and Anello, I'm Adam. Bear down. And Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.